Leo XIV declared a 15-year-old computer whiz the Catholic Church's first millennial saint, giving the next generation of Catholics a relatable role model who used technology to spread the faith and earned the nickname God's Influencer. During an open-air mass in St. Peter's Square on Sunday before an estimated gathering of 80,000 people, Leo canonized Carlo Acutis, who passed away back in 2006. Joining us now to tell us more is YouTuber Evan Raugust and Sal Solo, English Ministries Coordinator at St. Catherine of Siena Catholic Church. Sal, Evan, welcome to Hello Houston.
Looking good, Aaron. You're looking good in red today.
Oh, thank you. Sal's watching
cold.
us
Right.
on YouTube. Yes, it's chilly in here. And Evan, welcome also to the program.
Hey, hello, Houston.
Hello. You're calling us from Dallas, so you're a Texan too with us. If you'd like to join the conversation as we chat about this, give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870. Sal, I want to start with you. The idea of a first millennial saint, someone that the youth can actually connect with, from where you sit and the ministry you do, how does that feel and how are the folks that you talk to reacting to this?
Well, I work with young people every week and have done for years, and they're really very excited about this saint. And it's tough for us old people, to feel the same way, because I can remember when Mother Teresa was made a saint, that in her lifetime, everybody said that she was a living saint anyway. And whereas Carlo Acutis, nobody really heard of him until very recently. And it seems to me that on the one hand, he was very ordinary. And so we need to understand what is a saint to the church. And so a saint, it's easy to think of people way back in history, St. Peter, St. Paul, St. Augustine, Francis of Assisi, and they are very remote from our lives. But if you go to Assisi today, as many young people have, and people of all ages really, you can see basically just a 15-year-old boy sitting there, lying there, with his blue jeans and a sports top. He looks just like any other kid, like he's asleep. Yeah. And so what this role model does, because that's from a human point of view, what a role model, a saint is basically just somebody who shows us how to live a better life. Normally, everybody who's online, they're seeing lots of females taking their clothes off and lots of, young men full of tattoos and piercings and foul language. And so somebody like Carlo Acutis stands as an example of more virtue. And because he was on the internet, because he was a gamer, because he played sports and went to school and everything, he seems to be very close to the lives of young people today.
And so when we look at the timeline from when Carlo passed to now becoming a saint, is that usual in regards of length, or is it usually a much longer process to get that type of title?
Well, it depends. Some of them in recent times have been very quick, like I mentioned Mother Teresa. Another one would be Pope John Paul, whereas in history, it tended to take longer. But I guess we live in a world where things just move quickly today, don't they?
Yeah.
Everybody around the world can know all about what's happening in moments.
Evan, let me ask you, coming from the generation of Carlo, or I should say Saint Carlo now, what this means to you to see someone of your place in time getting this recognition, this canonization?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of takeaways. The first is that it shows that being a saint, properly understood, is how would Jesus act if he was in that person's life and circumstances? And so, sure, that's someone like Paul, who died as a martyr and evangelized to multiple countries. That's someone like Mother Teresa starting a worldwide charity organization. And that's also someone like Carlo Acutis, a 15-year-old boy who lived in Italy and played PlayStation. One story that I think is super powerful is that he had a caretaker who was Hindu, and he would evangelize to him through his witness and sharing to him about Jesus. And, throughout his life, even though he's 15, I mean, can we imagine a middle schooler, he evangelized and converted this man to Christianity. and it's through his witness. And, he used his gifts with the internet to be able to talk about Eucharistic miracles and share the beauty of the Catholic Church. And so for me and my friends, I'm 20 years old, I'm proudly a young person and solidly in that camp. He is an inspiration. He shows all of us that, we can all be saints.
So what is the criteria now? I assume you still have to perform a miracle to become a saint. Is that still part of the criteria?
Yeah, Sale, let me go to Sale on this, the requirements for sainthood.
Well, first of all, there must be one specific miracle, which usually is a medical miracle, and they do all kinds of research with doctors and that, so it can be medically verified. But in the case of Carlo Acutis, there have been many miracles since, actually. I was just watching a documentary earlier about him, and there's all kinds of people all over the world saying that they prayed and they received a healing because they asked for St. Carlo Acutis. You see, at the beginning, I said that on the one hand, he was very ordinary, wearing blue jeans and playing sports and so on. But the other side to a saint, that's the human side. But if you like, the heavenly side is the saints are people who are the best friends of God. That's all they are, the best friends of God, the people who love God the most. And so it's very important to understand that the idea of praying to saints, praying comes from, as you gather, I'm English, and in Old English, they used to say, I prithee. It's probably in Shakespeare plays and stuff like that, I guess. I prithee, give me this, or something like that, which simply means I ask you. And so the idea of saints is to be able to go to the special friends of Jesus, of God, and say, I ask you, can you have a word with the old man and see if you can get this healing for us? And so that's the whole idea of prithee the saints.
Evan, we came across you because you put up a video which for some reason popped up in my feed, so maybe that was a miracle that it came to me so we could have you on the show today. But it was a wonderful recap of St. Carlo's life and of the miracles, of how this unique 15-year-old, well, by the time he passed at 15, this unique young man interacted with the people around him and how he saw the world so differently than most young teens would see the world.
Yeah. I mean, he and that's the thing I really want to drill into people's heads is that on a daily level, one thing about being a Christian, it's hard. It's hard to be a Christian. It's hard to stand for strong moral values in this world that is increasingly atheistic. And one powerful thing about Carlo's life is that it just shows you that, it's the little things. It's sharing your faith, online, or it's just sharing your faith to your coworkers, or just trying to go to church more often. It's these little things that we can do that are accessible to everyone. And yeah.
It was an interesting thing you say about going to church more often, the fact that his parents were not heavy churchgoers. This was something he found within himself, that desire, correct?
Yeah, it is truly incredible. To look at his life and the absolute love he had for Jesus. I mean, even from a young age, some people, they're just blessed with these gifts at such a young age. And, it's just important for all of us to ask for God for that kind of enthusiasm and love. And yeah.
And Sal, I have a quick question for you. What type of significance do you think this has for Pope Leo to be able to be declaring Carlo a saint? And do you think moving forward, this is going to pave a way of him being a pope for young people?
Yeah,
well, I think he already is, because obviously, the whole world watched on the internet as Pope Leo came out the first time. The fact that he can speak in English, in American English. He's from Chicago, as we know. Like, I lived in Chicago 15 years, so did Ernie, actually, in the past. And I think that it kind of fits very well. You could call it God's timing. Because much as Evan says that a lot of people are very atheistic this day, which is true. But there are a lot of signs of young people, and especially young men, coming back to the church, both in America, in European countries. And earlier on, I mentioned the kind of idols that people have today who are really pulling them in very self-destructive directions. And so a lot of people, young people today, are basically saying, I'm done with that. You know, we've seen 20, 30, 50 years of people trying everything else. And maybe people 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years were not so stupid as we think, and we're not so smart. Maybe they had something there. Because Carlo Acutis, for instance, he completely loved Francis of Assisi. Now, I don't know if there's any Catholics among you or Catholics watching, but at a certain young age, we get confirmation. And in confirmation in the church, we're supposed to choose a name, a confirmation name. I actually chose Francis because of Francis of Assisi. And since then, I've been sponsored to some other young people who've been confirmed. And they always wanted to choose Francis of Assisi. One time I asked one of the boys, who was called Michael, why. He said, because he liked animals like me. So it sounds stupid, but it kind of brings it back down to earth again. The saints are not really very remote like angels floating in air. They're just ordinary people who live and choose good against evil.
From my secular point of view, looking in at all of this, a pretty smart move, I would say, by Pope Leo, especially, as Sal, as you mentioned, younger people coming back to the church. In a sense, it's giving them something that connects their faith to a younger generation, as opposed to, as we talked about, all of these saints we think of. I come from the Greek Orthodox faith, and I think about these icons of people long, long gone. To give you someone you can practically touch from your own generation, how important that is, and what a smart move that is on behalf of the Catholic Church moving forward. Am I getting too political and too machination thinking here, or do you think that actually plays into it?
Well, actually, I think it's a good question because it would be easy for somebody who doesn't have faith to view the church like a museum, like it's all about things from 1,000, 2,000 years ago, whereas the church is a living, growing thing. And when you asked about Pope Leo, well, Pope Leo is kind of exciting, for one thing, for us, because he speaks English,
Yeah.
you know? And ever since Pope John Paul, the popes have been out there in the media, they've been traveling around the world and visiting people, so they're very close to the people. And so even the majority of people who don't believe still have engagement with them and awareness of them. And so this is probably, I guess, what happened with Jesus in his day and with St. Paul after him. They spread the good news all over the world by whichever means they had. And
Right.
so today we've got the internet, we've got all kinds of mass media on our phones and so on. So
And
it's quite
unfortunately, we got to jump out here because of the time. Sal, thank you. Evan, thank you.
Thank you.